Welcome to the Playful Domme, the Poly Wife, and the Virgin podcast, where we share our most intimate stories, experiences, and details of our love lives, our intimacy lives, our play lives, and giving you the opportunity to gaze in and get a glimpse of what could be possible in your life as well. As we share our stories, our adventures, we weave in tips, tricks, and techniques to help build your confidence, boost your courage, and give you the opportunity to ask for what you want in your life. Welcome to the podcast. Oh, and just a couple of quick thoughts before we get started. One, we are just everyday people. We are not professionals, licensed therapists, anything like that. This is for edutainment purposes only. This is not medical advice or legal advice, financial advice, nothing like that. Listen at your own discretion. And this is for mature audiences. We're going into deep subjects and sharing deeply about intimacy and all the things about that. So just notice who you're around and let's go. Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Playful Domme, the Poly Wife, and the Virgin podcast. I am Jess, the Playful Domme. We've got Ella, the Virgin, and Lisa, the Poly Wife. Today, this episode, I will be sharing about the female-led relationship, FLR. It is something that has been a high desire of mine for years now, and I get to step into this realm with my partner Josh as we've been navigating our relationship and trying to find a place where we can have a steady course, and it's starting to look more and more like that. So welcome to the podcast, and away we go. So for those of you who maybe are used to seeing relationships where men take the lead, they're the ones that make the decisions, they're the ones that take full charge of the situations. It could be anywhere from where we're going to go out to eat to big buying decisions to who's going to be in our life, who's in our inner circle, all of these things. And you've seen couples who are, very amicable. They know how to shift and share different kinds of roles and responsibilities that maybe aren't gender specific or traditionally gender specific. And you've seen like a good flow with them. And I'm sure you've also seen many, many couples who are in a constant struggle for power. They are fighting. They can't seem to have a leg up. One of them is probably super, super controlling, and the other one's bucking at that control and trying to do whatever they can to not assert, give their authority to this other person. So we've seen lots of different, and of course, all the things, right? So you've experienced probably many different styles and dynamics of relationships over the years. The female-led relationship really got introduced to me actually right around when I was living with Lisa. So in 2019, so just about 2.5 years ago. And there's a couple that I've known for a while. I'll call the guy Sir Thorne, because I actually did a couple of podcasts with him about this female-led relationship and his queen, the goddess. And it was such a riveting conversation to here's a man who's recognizing that his sole purpose is to support his queen. That is his reason, that's his reason for being here, and how he has stood in this. So, side note, I have seen women, especially women who are building empires, that when they have a man that is able to provide a foundational support for them, these women have skyrocketed, coming from nowhere and being as close to basically a nobody as it gets, quote unquote. When I have seen this multiple times now, both firsthand and like 1 degree away from the person. So I've witnessed it, seeing the trajectory of when there's a stable base of a man who is there behind the scenes to hold, to ground, to provide support, whatever it is. And I've seen I've seen the woman's business skyrocket in a very short period of time into a trajectory of millions of dollars per year. And I know, like, of course, there's teams and there's all the bells and whistles, yada, whatever. But underneath all of that is a man that is holding her. It's holding her and lifting her up. So I've been really intrigued by this. And so there's different levels of female-led relationships, basically in a varying degree of how much say the woman holds in the relationship in terms of the activities, purchasing, the kind of place they live in, how their days are, their routines, you know, how much of this man's time and energy and attention is on the woman, because she's the show. Basically, the woman is the show. She is the goddess. There is no talking to her. If she's made a decision, they go with that decision. Now, for the female, she is recognizing that she's not from this like tyrannical place. She's recognizing that the man's needs and desires are also her responsibility to hold, and that whatever decision she's making, it's not for her, it's for what's the best for them as a couple and in their dynamic. Are you with me so far? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we are.
100%.
Go Ella.
No, yeah, we're with you. I'm fascinated. Keep talking, Jess. Keep talking.
Yeah. So when I had this conversation with him, and I actually want to go back and listen to the podcast again because they're so riveting, but really what his whole life, his whole day revolves around is making sure that his queen has everything that she needs, and that whatever thing that's like annoying to her, he takes on as his. Because the more that he takes on anything that's dragging her energy down, that's upsetting her, that's like causing her any kind of stress or distress or unease, whatever it is, if he has it in his power to take it on and handle it so that she has more capacity, more space to be in her creative, to being in her magic, to being in the things that like she is a genius at, because that's what we want. We want women to be in their genius. You know, she is so tapped into the divine feminine, and he recognizes that, and he is there as like the holder of her needs. So like he would tell me how at like, I don't know, maybe it was like 7 a.m. in the morning, they weren't sleeping in the same bedroom together. She had her own bedroom, her own bed. They're in the same house. He would come in at 7 a.m. and gently open the blinds and the shades to start letting the sunlight go in. He'd come in with a cup of tea for her that he's made and prepared just the way that she likes. You know, he will sit and read to her like poetry or something like that for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, however way it is. And then he's like going about the day to get everything set up for her to be set up for success. And so that can look like preparing meals for her, getting that ready. It could be doing her laundry or helping, you know, if she needs certain clothes ironed out or ready, if she's getting ready to shoot videos. Okay, how's the lighting? Like, how, you know, have we gotten rid of any distractions? Are we in a space where she can have her own space, you know, that she can, you know, record well? And, you know, these are examples of this. And then of course it translates into the bedroom as well, about how to like please her and how much that is. So I remember talking to her one day. This was one of the moments that I was like, what? And so she was FaceTiming me and we were talking. She's in bed. She's just laying there. We're having a conversation. And then she mentions her man and like asks him, like he is not interjected. I didn't even know he was there. And she was like, you know, what do you think? I may have known that she was there. I can't see her having an intimate conversation with me and not me recognizing that. But she was like, what do you think? And so she flipped the camera angle, and suddenly I'm seeing him, and he's got one of her feet propped up on his shoulder, and he's massaging it as she's been talking this whole time. And then he's like sharing with me. He's sharing with me his perspective and his point of view. And I'm just like in utter awe of like, what is this? Like, here's this man that's just serving her literally in all of the ways, you know, and comforting her and taking care of her and like just this really like pouring in of love. And what I've noticed is that as women are feeling more nourished, as they're feeling more full, then they have that much more to give out to the world, and they radiate. It's amazing. So there's like varying degrees of just how deep a female-led relationship can go. But I briefly looked it up online just to brush up on like, what is it really? What are the benefits of having a female-led relationship? And one of them is there's better communication. So women tend to be excellent communicators generally. They're more communicative by fault, or by default. We're more intuitive, so we're paying attention, we're listening more on multiple different levels, all of these things. And there's also this level, when the biggest thing that I discovered from listening to this couple that I care so much about, and I mean, she was making like 50K like the first year together. A few years later, because I've only known them for a few years later, she's pushing at $1 million. So this is like the kind of trajectory.
Wow.
And of course, yes, again, there's coaches and mentors and teams, and there's all the things that she's been doing, but underneath and behind it all has been him. It's been him like infusing her. It's been whatever dream she has, whatever idea she has, he doesn't shut it down. He's like, that's amazing. How can I support you? How could I make this happen for you, come true for you? And so to be in a state where there isn't a man shutting you down.
Yeah, exactly.
Stupid, or why would you even say that? Or have you considered this? Or trying to be the fixer, but instead being like that. This is amazing. Yeah, I love this. How else can what can I do? How can I help you make this dream come true? Because for him, that's what it is. He's here to help her dreams come true. He's here to please her and satisfy her in a way that no one else can. And that it provides for her in a way for her to be able to show up in the world so much bigger than she would otherwise. So saying all of that, I've been in this like in and out with Josh. We've been walking this very kind of wobbly, stumbly path of like, are we going to do this? And we're so drawn to each other, but we're so different. And we've had falling outs. We've walked away. We've broken up. We've done these things, and yet there's like this intangible, deep, unquenchable fire and desire that we have for each other, and our connection, really with sex, and then like intimacy, and like all of these things are just super, super beautiful. And I've been dropping little pieces about a female-led relationship, and it's started to evolve now. One of the big things is this actually happened a week ago. So a week ago, we were nothing. We had decided we're nothing. And then he was going to connect with a woman who we had a conversation with about all playing together. And then she ghosted and disappeared. And we didn't hear from her. And then we broke up. And then I find out that now they're communicating about getting together. And I lost my shit. And I blew up into this whole like betrayal of the sisters, and how could she do that? And like, and guys are so stupid. They don't pick up on this shit. But like, it's like she had wanted a partner all along. She was willing to play, but then she wasn't. And then she ghosted, and then they started their own conversation. And I was like, nah. Nah. I was like, if you decide to see her, we're done. And I hope she's worth it. I will not engage with someone who's going to play games like this.
Wow.
She didn't communicate with me. And then he ended up not seeing her. We ended up smoking pot a few nights later. We like got together, and because he realized like, I need you in my life. I want to be with you. I don't know how to do all of this because the sensual body work thing is hard for me. How can we find the bridge, whatever. And I had the realization too. One realization was we weren't actually breaking up. We were just fighting. We don't know how to do it. So we're like, I'm out. But then like a couple of days later, we've we've had cooler heads, we come back together, we just keep coming back together. So I'm like, we're not breaking up, we've just been fighting, we just don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
We're not fighters, so but there's so much coming up for us
that's something that I really think we should pin and talk about in another conversation.
I agree.
The language is, I'm breaking up with you, right? Yeah. But honestly, it's not. It's just we've lost the art of fighting effectively and well. And so I just wanted to make a note of that, because I think it's a really great distinction that you brought up, Jess.
Yeah, because we do love each other, and we are keep getting drawn to each other, and we have these different things, but we know there's something, and it just keeps coming back. So it's like, okay, we're not breaking up, we're just fighting. Okay, so we're gonna figure this shit out. We're gonna have a different method, because then of course I'm talking to my girlfriends and I'm like, this happened, and they're like, oh my god, and I was telling him, I was like, my girlfriends are gonna think I'm crazy that we keep getting back together. And I'm like I gotta recognize that we're going through a bump, and we're gonna figure this shit out, and we're gonna make it to the other side. Otherwise, people are gonna think he's an absolute asshole. And he has qualities, like we all do. We all have ugliness, but he's overall an amazing guy. The second realization that I had was that I want to be the gatekeeper. I want to be the one that if there's a woman coming into play, she comes through me. I recognize that I'm like, if she had tried to bond with me, she would have had a different outcome, and things would have worked out way better for her than her trying to decide to engage with me and go with him. She made the wrong decision, because ultimately I am the dom. I am in charge of this relationship. And so when I shared with him that I was like, I want to be the gatekeeper. I want to be the one that if women want to come and play, it's on my yes.
Yeah, sure.
And we started having this conversation about what could the yes be like, what could the no be like. And I had said to him multiple times, I said no about this woman, and you kept rebuking it. But it didn't feel right. I didn't like it. And then I lost my shit when she ghosted, and then you guys started talking. And I was like, if she had actually worked with me and had the conversation, we would have had a different outcome. So we've decided, so that's kind of where it started, was deciding that okay, if there's a woman that Josh is interested in, and he changed his dating profiles to say, I'm in a relationship with a woman, we're interested in playing with another woman. I'm not interested in playing with men, interested in playing with another woman. And, and she's the gatekeeper. So I will share all the communications with her, any everything with her. And she's going to be the ultimate decider, because what's most important is our relationship. And so that was a really, really huge, big deal. And I asked him, I'm like, how are you feeling about this? Because this can be seen as very controlling. Okay. And he's like, it's controlling, but I really like it. It somehow creates a sense of freedom in him, and this sense of things are okay. And I would love to have Josh on. He's like, I can be on the podcast if you want. So we'll do a podcast as we bring Josh on to share his perspective. But that's what it's becoming into. And so then by me taking more of a lead and taking more charge in our relationship and our dynamic, and then also in the sexual components and everything like that, he's getting more excited because I'm doing what I want, recognizing his desires and needs. So my intention is to help him fulfill it, but also keep it in a way that it keeps our relationship sacred and together. Mm-hmm. And so yesterday I was like, okay, I've been for days, I'm like, let's take some sexy photos and let's put up a profile on SDC, which is a swinger website. Let's go ahead and do that. And yesterday I just went ahead and did it. I went and I got the membership. I set up the profile. I put up a photo. I started and he was just like, wow, this is great. And then I created a profile on Field. So he and I can link our profiles together as a couple. And and I got to say like everything and spell it all out. And it's awesome. So he's feeling super fulfilled, like juicy life that's coming. And I've been telling him all along to trust me, which Lisa knows and other girlfriends of mine know, that like when you trust me, like I am going to make sure everyone is taken care of. I will make sure
for
that,
sure.
like, what is going to be in the highest and best good for everyone involved. Can I anticipate everything? No, but I'm certainly going to do my best to like really caretake for everybody involved. That's one of the gifts that I think that's I have, and it's a piece, it's a value that's important to me. So so here we are on this brink. And then today we recorded like some sexy photos. And then I was like, let's record a video of us having sex. We haven't done that yet. And so he got to see like just how incredibly hot and sexy we are in that, which like vitalizes him. And he sees like, you know, in another way, just how hot we are and how exciting it is. So what I want to create. And then I said to him, like, I want to create this brand, the Passionatrix. I would like you to be the male counterpart, to be there. And he's been so supportive of all of my work, with the exception of the body work with men, but everything else he's been super supportive of. And he's like, I'm down, I'm in, I will be in videos, I will be on podcasts. Yes. Cause I'm like, I don't want the guy behind the scenes like the other women I've seen. I want the guy beside me to like help balance out the conversation and, you know, all of those things. And he said yes. So there's something about when we can get into a place with men, and he is not submissive at all. There's not a submissive bone in his body, but he has this desire also to be of service, to be caring, to be considerate, to be giving. He has that, and I have that as well. So it works out really beautifully. So this is kind of the foray is stepping in of a female-led relationship, that if he's going to play with anyone, she comes through me.
Yeah.
And however way we're going to make this happen is really ultimately up to me. And so he's able to know and feel safe that like, I know what he wants. I'm going to help him get there. I'm showing the action steps that I'm taking. And he can also relax that and trust that I'm doing exactly what I want, and nothing's I'm not being pushed into something, you know, right. and neither is he. And then there's also like a lot of communication that's happening. So that's, and so the piece about the female-led relationship is that when there's a dynamic that's established of like, I would say authority, for lack of a better word, but just the one that's going to be the decision maker, it takes out the charge of having arguments, because she has the final say, or the only say. Like, this is what we're going to do. And, you know, but also for her, it's not at the expense of her partner. It's while encompassing and recognizing all of the elements of her partner, and still making the decision that's for the best for the couple.
I didn't even know this existed. So one more time, I learned a bunch more stuff again today. Fascinating, Jess, fascinating.
Yeah. So I think that there's, Lisa, what were you going to say?
Well, what I wanted to say is that I grew up in a female-led household, but
I guess mine is too. My mom was very strong.
My mom was stronger than my dad. I'm stronger than my husband. But the difference is so there are a couple of things here I want to talk about. Without the language that Jess is using, it looks like and can feel like not emasculation. Right. So a female-led household, which I have been participating in for 30 plus years with my husband.
Yeah. And I guess I run my household, so
has been emasculating for him. I have been bitchy and bossy, and it's got to be my way. My way's usually this better thought out way, but it was a power struggle.
Yeah. Right.
Versus a teamwork thing. Right.
Sure.
So what I can absolutely 100% say is that my husband is has always been supportive, has never naysayed anything, no matter how crazy it was that I wanted. He has never said, no, you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that, or that's not a good idea. He brings up, he's like, I'm kind of uncomfortable with that. But like, for instance, with me wanting to start the TikTok and being out about being poly, about writing a book, he's like, write the book. And I said, well, I'm not out on Facebook yet because he's got a lot of conservative family and he's worried about the backlash. So I'm not out on Facebook, but I'm out kind of pretty much everywhere else. And he's still a little squishy about it. He's enthusiastic about the lifestyle. He's just he's worried about other people's opinions. And I want to be honoring of that. And at the same time, like, for instance, he didn't want our next door neighbors to know. And he said, I don't want them to know. And I said, well, if I'm writing a book, they're kind of going to figure it out, aren't they? Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So go do what you have to do. So I believe that if we had had the language 30 years ago, 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, to have the understanding that a female-led relationship does not mean that the other partner's needs aren't being met. It's meant so that everybody's needs get met, but there isn't the conflict about who decides how it's done. I mean, Jess, you're not going to do anything that you and Josh have not already agreed to as part of his boundaries, for instance, or your boundaries, right?
Right.
It's really participatory and mutual. It's just that, if in terms of who's going to right the ship, it's going to be you because it's a female-led relationship. And I just feel like women are in female-led relationships. And I believe that
maybe they are. I've just never
the perspective helps
for
to
sure.
change how we behave in it. I behaved badly in mine. And I believe that I could have, there are ways that I could have behaved better and how I move through my relationship moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. Like I've seen the woman that like beats down on the man and emasculates them and makes them feel like nothing. And that is the exact opposite of how I like treat Josh. I lift him up as much as anyone. He'll tell anyone, he could tell that too, that like he almost is embarrassed by how much I compliment him and praise him and lift him up. So emasculation, and I did the emasculating thing as well. And this is why I really love the Dom work and the kinky play, and just, stepping more and more into this, and also doing a shit ton of inner work and a lot of work with plant medicine. Like a lot of it's helped me get onto this other side where, like, even this morning, we had to get up really early we chose to get up really early to have a conversation with the potential play partner. It's like earlier than we ever really get up. But we like bounced up and like, okay, let's do this, whatever. And I was like, man, like he's like, I know you're not really a morning person. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, but I'm not grumpy, and that's okay. And he's like, I've never seen you grumpy. And I'm like, man, I have grown so much, because I used to be like super grumpy and unhappy. And like, and I mean, I really had some jabs in me that like just some real pain pieces I wanted to take out on my partners. And I really don't see, I mean, we all still have little things to work on, but yeah, I am not about emasculating him. It is about like honoring him. I am so like, I have such a devotion to him that like I haven't had. And I also like to be in charge because it's just so much easier. And I'm like, isn't it just so much easier? Like, and so it happened the other day, like we were at this restaurant that he goes to all the time, and he had set up this thing and he wanted it. I don't know, his mom was outside. He's like, oh, I guess I'll go drink my beer. I'm like, well, why don't you just get your beer and drink it out here on the other side of the fence, and then we can all be. He's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. He's like, so it's whatever these things are, that it's like, if you can just trust me, chances are I'm taking everything into account as much as I can. Yeah. And I want to do what's best for everybody. And it's going to be easier for you. It's going to be easier for me. Yeah. And it takes a lot of the guesswork out, because then he just gets to say yes and do the thing and, whatever. But I noticed myself, I'm like, could you could you fill up that glass of water for me? Could you turn those lights on over there, please? Like, could you wash this pot for me? So he's like, I'm already doing it, babe. I'm like, awesome. So it's sweet, and I don't think by any means I'm being domineering or dominating, but I am leading. Yeah. And that's a shift, I think, in difference. He's not a submissive at all. But there are dynamics where men literally want to be subservient. They want to be, in the DS relationship, which is the dominant slave relationship, which is not what this is. But the slave, the man who decides to be the slave, means that his needs are not considered. He is his needs don't matter at all. It's all about the dom. It is all about her. It's whatever she wants. She has the ultimate say. He's like it doesn't matter. He is not taken into consideration, really. If there's any doms listening and they have a different perspective, you're totally welcome to come on. We would love to have you if you have a different perspective about what a DS relationship is. I'm certainly not trying to cast a swath of judgment. But that's just been my experience of recognizing that in a DS relationship, the slave, his needs don't matter. It's all about the woman. So this is not for me what a female-led relationship for me is that I am designing. But my desire is for the listeners to know what is possible. We can create dynamics of this. It does not have to be cat and dog back and forth, fighting and fighting. It doesn't have to be these big conflicts. It doesn't have to be this power struggle. When there's this decision, and you can even try it out for a week or a month, or say, let's just try it for a week. Let's just see what happens. But it's a lot to take on for the woman, the female leading. She's taking on a lot. It's not just about whatever she wants. She's taking everyone into account, making sure that those are the best decisions that are made. So that is what I wanted to share about the female-led relationship.
That's awesome. I think it's really valuable. Thank you so much for sharing it, and congratulations on recognizing how that can work in your relationship.
Yeah. Positively. Yep. I think that's the beauty. Yeah. And Lisa shared before, she said, she goes, I wasn't the nicest to be around, and again, oftentimes it has a very negative connotation. So thanks, Jess. Thank you.
Yeah. And as we navigate, right, as we start learning more, like Lisa said, she gets to understand a little bit more of, what maybe used to be hard boundaries or hard limits or a hard no for her before. She's recognizing that's what, when I'm in the right space and in the right headspace and I'm with the right people and the right environment, the things that I feel would have been an absolute no to, I'm actually a yes to when the conditions are right. So for her to have that discernment and being open and willing to see more of what's in there waiting for her, because so much is waiting for us on the other side of our resistance, of our fears, of our our judgments. And also what does it make me if I'm this or if I'm not that or whatever, and to be able to have an open space to get messy, to play, to explore, to be curious, and to have the conversations along the way is super important. So that's what I wanted to share. I don't think we have any links to talk about, but just if women listening or men that are interested in learning more about the female-led relationship, or would also like coaching on that and how to navigate that, we've got plenty of opportunity for you to connect with any of us about those kinds of things. And Ella, like you said, your mom was
very strong. Yep, absolutely. And again, I am. So I just have never really heard it said the way you said it. And again, it is ultimately about building harmony and teamwork, right? So it was really very, very eloquently said. It's a great reminder.
Yeah, we can both lead, and we can also date. We can be in partnership with strong men.
Sure.
That doesn't mean we need, diminutive men that are just going to be totally walked all over. That is not how I do not walk all over Josh at all.
Yeah.
And if something is upsetting me, he's going to fucking know it. Like, oh, this woman, she's out. She doesn't get to play. She missed out on her opportunity. This is not how things go.
That's not okay.
But this is part of our journey. So
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts or questions, Ella or Lisa?
No. Love it.
Totally love it.
Well, thank you all so much for listening to our latest episode of The Playful Domme, The Poly Wife, and The Virgin. We are so excited that you have given us your presence to listen to our stories and our shares and our tips and our insights and all of the things. And of course, we always suggest that you go out in the spirit of play and desire to see what else is on the other side that is waiting for you. Look forward to connecting to you on our next podcast. Thanks and bye for now. Want more? Head over to theplayfulpodcast.com for all the juicy things we have to offer. From there, you can join our community where you can get access to after hours, attend upcoming workshops and events, and even book a session. Bye for now.